Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's your fave Blessing and we are back at it again with another video. So today's video is going to be a story time about my first official college interview. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright guys, so like I said, this video is going to be about my interview with the University of Pennsylvania, and this was my first ever interview for college. Like, I haven't had any type of interviews for anything since I was a freshman, having an interview with my high school, which it's ending soon. But yeah, so let's get into it. This video is gonna be how I started, like how I prepped for the interview, what happened during the interview, and then like a short reflection. And then coming up, I will give like a whole video on actual tips for interviews in general, so be on the lookout for that. And just a quick little note, if there's anything that you actually need to really learn from this video, is that if you get asked to be a part of an interview from a school, take it. Do not pass go, do not deny. Take that interview whether you like the school or not. Take that interview to really get the exposure of how an interview is set up, and just to get an interview. You never know what this interview can mean for you, so always walk into the interview with your best foot forward and take full advantage of having an interview. So yeah, so this is how it all started for me, and I actually didn't know I was gonna have my UPenn interview this early. I already have an interview set for a couple weeks from now, well actually next week, and I had mock interviews set up for prep. And if you don't know what a mock interview is, it's just an interview for practice, just to practice answering questions, just to get a feel with what an interview is. And I totally recommend a mock interview if you've never done any type of interview before, because you really want to at least know like how to word things. And since it's through the camera, I really wanted to make sure like my facial expressions, hand movements were really like showing as if it was a conversation, it was in a person. So to me, I felt like having mock interviews were really important. So like I was saying, once I got the notification, I went ahead and searched up like the top 20 questions for an interview, and then I went ahead and just made like little bullet points on topics to stay under. And that my first mock interview was actually the same day as my scheduled interview. So in the morning of my interview, mind you, this was like about like 4 days later, I went ahead and I had my first mock interview with a lady that's been helping me through my whole entire college process. And we had the interview, so we just practiced the questions that I had written. She really just gave me some tips on how to talk, what to say better, and like how to really get who I am off paper to push through to my interviewer. And I feel like it really helped. So then that was basically like my mock interview. That was really the setup. We went ahead and just did the 20 questions, from who are you, what do you like to do, why do you want to come to this college, all the way down to like my favorite book, what I like to do for fun. So my mock interview was very much so set as what a real interview would be. So now my actual interview. So let me just start off by saying it was kind of chaotic. I got home like 30 minutes before my interview, to the point where like my phone was dying, and I actually had to do my interview on my dying phone because my computer was just acting so slow. So guys, definitely don't come home 30 minutes before and like eating and trying to set up your camera, because imagine, like, I was over here trying to set up the camera, I'm over here eating. It was a mess, but we moved. So like I was saying, so I got home about 30 minutes early. I was setting up my camera, eating, and I was just trying to calm my nerves, to be honest. And then I got onto the interview like Zoom call within I want to say like 10 minutes. Yeah, 10 minutes. I made sure everything was set up, and then he went ahead and he joined the call. So it was very like formal at first. He definitely just came in, was like, his name is this, asked me about how I was doing that day, and you know, I did like the simple introduction. And then we moved in straight into the question. And one thing I personally like about my UPenn interview was that from the jump, it was very much so conversational. Like, from even down to when he asked me who I am, and I went ahead and told him my background, which you guys know, like, I'm the oldest, I have parents that are immigrants, like the little stuff. Right after I said that, he went into like ask like specific questions about my family, about like he can tell from how I said like some of the things about who I am that a lot of things were personal to me, and I had like a lot of passion, and that was from like the beginning. So then after that, we kind of went into like more deep into each question, and I want to say my interview was about an hour, and he asked about like 4 or 5-ish major questions, and then for the rest of the hour or so we went in deep into those questions. And one thing about my interviewer, he quoted a lot of like books. He did a lot of like book quotes and like just factual quotes that he heard, and that's kind of how my interview went. And to be honest, I read a lot of books, so I was able to keep up with him, and I liked a lot of the quotes that he said because they really did fit what we were talking about. So that's one thing I want you to keep in mind. Like, I don't think a lot of interviews are supposed to be question answers. So if you notice that your interview is like that, kind of move it to be more conversational, because I feel like that also calmed my nerves. So yeah. So we went ahead, after we talked about who I was, he just asked me what I liked about UPenn. I told him like I like the clubs. I've always had a love for UPenn just because I love Pennsylvania, as I've said before. They have so many clubs, and I just like the atmosphere, and I actually liked UPenn from YouTube videos that I saw. So that's how I kind of explained UPenn from my point of view, and he like loved it. And then we went ahead and talked about how I get into my news, and we talked about what do I want from college experience, and like through all of that he would go ahead and relate everything I said to his life. And like my interview specifically was from where I'm from. The high school he went to is like 2 miles from my high school. Like, I probably have seen my interview on the street somewhere, to be honest. So it was kind of personal too, which I think that actually helped me because it was a very personal interview. Like, even the school I attend, he was actually able to identify my school, and he was actually able to talk about my school and be like, yeah, this structure at your school is such and such. So I think that also helped me too, is because he kind of understood me in a way that he understood my high school setting, and then he understood being from where I'm from to go to UPenn, how to change. So that really helped drive the conversation. We got really personal, and I think that's also one thing that I loved about my interview, was that we got personal to the point where like I found out things about his wife, his sons. I found out like how he views the world and how he wants to teach his children. And I think that also helped drove a lot of the conversation, because again, I feel like if it's just a question and answer, it's kind of boring. But like, we were able to laugh, and then with the book quotes, I was saying book quotes, he was saying book quotes, so it was very like, let's see what you got type vibes. So I really enjoyed that aspect of the whole entire interview. I wanted to really know what I had planned for my future. He did spend a lot of time to figure out what my future consists of, and like how I wanted to get there and why. And that was really stood out to me, because I think we spent a good 30 minutes, like not 30 but like 15, maybe not even 15, like 10, but it was relatively long and got really deep about what I wanted to do with my life. And I feel like that's a must, just because college is one of those things where you start thinking about your future. So that was one thing we really stayed focused on, was my future and how did I plan to get there. We also went really deep in the books that we read. Again, this whole thing was formed around like book quotes, but like once we start talking about books that we like, and he was more of like a nonfiction type of guy, so he was telling me about like news statistics and stuff like that. We really connected on that. And then we talked about how Penn is for a person from Ohio, how that transition, and how when he was going to school back in the day, the differences that he's heard or seen from going back there now and then, and how he thinks I could impact the school, or how the school can impact me. So it was really much so, again, because he kind of knew me as far as like the circumstances I might live in based off of like my school and then the school I'm going to go to if I go to UPenn. He was really able to give me a good idea of like how life could play out with me. Obviously he was a white man, and there's not much that we connect on other than where we come from and where we're going and what we kind of want to do in the world, but we kind of do understand from like city to city how things could be. So I think that also drove the notion, and I think that you should do like research on your person, because once I got his name, I looked him up, and like I kind of knew already that we could have connected on those type of things. So that also lessened my nerves, because I was definitely able to envision myself talking to him as if I saw him at the grocery store or something. So that really helped. I would say a lot of his questions were basic questions that you hear all the time. But other than that, it was very conversational, it was very personal, and it was very informing. I got to learn more about Penn from a person who actually went there, and not through a YouTube video, but through like kind of like person to person. And he got to learn a lot about me, and he was actually surprised at the end. And this is a pro tip: ask for feedback at the end. Slide it in gently, and don't like make it like a question like you're kind of nervous of how you did, but ask them more or less like, oh, I just want to know for my next interview, and they'll be more than happy to give you feedback. So he was actually really surprised that that was my first interview. He was just like, you did really good. So I was really happy about it. And in the end, I think that interview went really well. I'm actually surprised at how well it went, because again, it was my first interview. But like I said, it was very conversational throughout the whole entire thing. I definitely recommend, if you have a UPenn interview coming up, take it. And I promise you it will be really great. I have another friend who did her UPenn interview, and she said the same thing. Hers was very conversational, and I think hers lasted about close to 2 hours, and it was just conversation. Especially when it comes down to your UPenn interview, to really make sure it's conversational, because I think that will win you major points in what they read about you to your school. But I had fun with it, and I really do think it helped me navigate my next interview. So I think that anybody who's watching this who's worried about their UPenn interview, don't be worried. Just make sure that you have your story, have what you want to say, at least an outline on some of the questions that may or may not be asked. And I think if you go that route, then you're gonna be good. But good lucks to me that I get into UPenn. I'm really happy with how everything went. I'm really thankful for my interviewer, because he really kept in contact with me after the fact as well. So I also say build a relationship with your interviewer. And the UPenn interviewers thus far that I've heard from other people who have interviewed with them, really found that they're very kind, and they're really open to like keep communication with you. So that was my UPenn experience. It was really chill. Like I said, he asked like 4 major questions, and the rest was just like building off of that, getting deep in the nitty-gritty, which I personally find that easy to navigate. So yeah, if you're watching this video and you're getting ready for your UPenn interview, I wish you luck, and maybe we're about to be class of 2025 together. So yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell your family, tell your sisters, tell everybody and their mom to like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that good jazz. Oh, and my birthday's in a week. Like, what do you guys mean? What do you mean my birthday's in a week? So yeah, thank you. Bye.